Hare Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Welcome to this morning's Srimad Bhagavatam class. It's from Canto 2, which is entitled The Cosmic Manifestation, Chapter 2, which is entitled The Lord in the Heart, and today we'll do text 15. So without further ado, I'll start the class. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivadadari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivadadari Yashodanandana Vrajanaranjana Yashodanandana Vrajanaranjana Jamunatira Vanachari Jamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivadadari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivadadari Yashodanandana Vrajanaranjana Yashodanandana Vrajanaranjana Jamunatira Vanachari Jamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Om Vishnupad Paramhansa Privajikacharya Astottara Satyashimaris Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Paramhansa Privajikacharya Astottara Satyashimaris Divine Grace Shri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai ISKCON Founder Acharya Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय वृंदावन धाम की जय मथुरा धाम की जय नवद्वीप धाम की जय जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय जगन्नाथ स्वामी की जय गंगा मई की जय जमुना मई की जय तुलसी देवी की जय भक्ति देवी की जय हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की जय सामवेद भक्त वृंद की जय निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the lotus feet of Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Tirtha Swami Niti Namane Namaste Krishna Padaya Prabhupada Chitatmani Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Bhakti Tirtha Namane Narayana Namaste Chanaron Chaiva Narotamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayam Vadirayat Nashta Prayesu Abhadresu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhavato Tamasloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. So this morning we said we're going to do Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 2, Text 15. So I'll start chanting 3 times, and then when I'm finished, anyone who feels inclined to do the chanting can repeat the text with the chanting. Shriram Shukam Kasanam Astito Yati Tada Jihasur Imam Angalokam Kalecha Deshe Chamano Nasajayet Pranan Yaschen Manasajitasu Shirasu Kam Chasana Astito Yati Yada Jihasu Imam Angalokam Kalacha Deshe Chamano Nasajayet Prananiyasyan Manasa Jitasu Stiram Shukam Chashanam Astito Yati Yada Jihasu Imam Angalokam Kale Chadeshe Chamano Nasajayet Prananiyasyan Manasa Jitasu. Hare Krishna. Anyone who wants to chant, please unmute yourself and chant.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hiram sukham chasanamastito yatir yada hi jihasuri imam lokam kale cha deshe cha mano na sajjit pranani yechan manasa jitasu.
Hare Krishna. Anyone else? We'll do a forward. Stiram, without being disturbed. Sukham, comfortable. Cha, also. Asanam, sitting accommodation. Ashtita, being situated. Yati, the sage. Yada, whenever. Jihasu, desires to give up. Imam, this. Anga, O king. Lokam, this body. Kali, in time. Cha, and. Deshe, in a proper place. Cha, also. Mana, the mind. Na, not. Satjayat, may not be perplexed. Pranan, the senses. Niyachit, must control. Manasa, by the mind. Jita Asu, conquering the life air. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. O King, whenever the yogi desires to leave this planet of human beings, he should not be perplexed about the proper time or place, but should comfortably sit without being disturbed, and regulating the life air, should control the senses by the mind. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. In the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 8, text 14, it is clearly stated that a person who is totally engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord and who constantly remembers Him at every step easily obtains the mercy of the Lord by entering into His personal contact. Such devotees do not need to seek an opportune moment to leave the present body. But those who are mixed devotees, alloyed with fruitive action or empirical philosophical speculation, require an opportune moment for quitting this body. For them, the opportune moments are stated in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 8, text 23 through 26. But these opportune moments are not as important as one's being a successful yogi who is able to quit his body as he likes. Such a yogi must be competent to control the senses by the mind. The mind is easily conquered simply by engaging it at the lotus feet of the Lord. Gradually, by such service, all the senses become automatically engaged in the service of the Lord. That is the way of merging into the Supreme Absolute. Om Ginati Mirandasya Gyana Gyana Shalakaya Chakshu Amritam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yin Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaya Bidati Swapatantikam. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Simati Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namini. Namaste Sarasati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirveshesha Sunyavari Paschatyari Shatyarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sari Gaur Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So we'll do the English translation again. O King, whenever the yogi desires to leave this planet of human beings, he should not be perplexed about the proper time or place, but should comfortably sit without being disturbed, and regulating the life air should control the senses by the mind. So this is an instruction being given by Srila Shukadeva Goswami about leaving this planet of human beings, which means this type that we have, the earth. Now, there are ways to leave the planet which involve particular things that you have to do, and those are described in the references given by Srila Prabhupada in chapter 8 of Bhagavad Gita. Chapter 8 is amply or conveniently entitled Attaining the Supreme. Chapter 8. So, Shukadeva Goswami is saying, whenever the yogi desires to leave the planet of human beings, now he says, whenever the yogi, so which kind of yogi? Hatha yogi, Jnana yogi, Ashtanga yogi, Bhakti yogi, Raja yogi. There are different types of yoga. The topmost is Bhakti, where one serves with love and devotion the Supreme Personality of Godhead, not expecting any payback. Mm-hmm. And Prahlad Maharaj was a very good example of that. After his father, the demon, Hiranyakashipu, tried to kill him in so many ways and was not successful, Sringadev, the Lord, came, half man, half lion, and killed the father, killed Hiranyakashipu. Prahlad Maharaj offered prayers to the Lord, Sringadev. And Sringadev was very happy with Prahlad Maharaj and asked him for a boon. And asked him to any boon that he wanted that Sringadev was willing to give Prahlad Maharaj. That's what I meant. But Prahlad Maharaj said, if I do that, ask for something, that would be like conducting business with you. He didn't want anything, but he wanted those who are rotting in the material world to be saved. And he wanted his father to be saved. Now, that's not him wanting anything at all. He never asked for anything for himself, but he asked for the Lord's mercy. And so, in our lives, that mercy is very important. The more you stay in Krishna consciousness, the more you realize that to be successful has to be very much dependent on the mercy of Guru and Krishna, or Guru and Guranga. It will be clear. You fight Maya for a while, you realize that it is the mercy of the Lord that makes the biggest difference in one's progress in Krishna consciousness. So, as Sukadeva Goswami is describing this, that the person that wants to leave the planet, or when the time comes for the person to leave the planet, some yogis can leave when they want to, and then there are others too who the time will come for them to leave. Hmm. So either way, Sukadeva Goswami is saying the yogis should not be perplexed about the time or the place, the proper time and place. There are some that concern themselves about proper time, proper place, and we'll discuss some of that because it's in the Attaining the Supreme, chapter 8. And then we'll see what our situation is as far as leaving the body, if we do bhakti yoga as required. But at this time, Sukadeva Goswami is describing to Maharaj Pariksit that the yogi should sit comfortably. Maharaj Pariksit is about to leave in 7 days anyway, so that's important to him. They should sit comfortably and he should not be disturbed. And regulating the life air to try to control the senses by the mind. Do we control the senses by the mind? We are required to, because the senses go haywire. And the regulated principles that we've had now, no illicit sex, no gambling, no meat eating, no intoxication. Those are things that the senses do. Every one of them is connected to the senses. Every one of them. Therefore, to control those senses, to obey the regulated principles also means to control the senses. And how do you control the senses? When the senses want to do the wrong thing, the mind should say no. That way, the mind controls the senses. So in our life, it's like that. And when we do control the senses by saying no to the things that are against the regulated principles and doing the things that are for service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, when we discriminate like that in favor of Bhakti Yoga, then after a while, the mind gets used to it, the senses begin to get control. Srila Prabhupada has talked about controlling the senses. In a lecture that he gave, it was the part of Bhagavatam about Queen Kunti. So that would be Canto 1, Chapter 8, that area. About text 28 is what he gave that lecture on. And he said, the easiest way to control the senses is to engage them in serving the Lord. If one sweeps the temple, cooks for the deities, all the meal services, we take care of that to serve the Lord. Then, since the senses are engaged in the service, then they are automatically controlled. That the other side of it means that if we do less service, then we are likely to do other things which are not part of Bhakti Yoga. The more service we do, the more we engage ourselves, the more the senses become controlled, then the happier we're going to be because we're doing things in devotional service, and that is what makes us happy. That happiness is not material happiness. Happiness connected with material things. It's happiness that comes from within, from the heart. And it's very, 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 it's the best happiness one can get rather than this material enjoyment. So material enjoyment is not even categorized as happiness. And sometimes when the word happiness is used for material enjoyment, then the next thing you hear is it's temporary. It doesn't last. Whereas Bhakti Yoga gives us internal and lasting happiness that even after we leave this body, there will be even more happiness. That is, after we leave this body and serve Krishna with our souls, they're living greater happiness, much, much, much greater happiness. So this is just a start, but a very important start when the senses are used in serving the Lord. Srila Prabhupada says in the purport that it is clearly stated in Bhagavad Gita that a person who is engaged totally in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. And the person who constantly remembers him at every step, that person easily obtains the mercy of the Lord. Hmm? So those people, those devotees, they don't need to seek a particular time to leave the present body. Hmm? They can leave whenever the body is ready to lay down, a few breaths left to take the last breath. But then we just think about Krishna. Why? Because we've been serving Krishna all along and being very enthusiastic in serving Krishna. Enthusiasm is extremely important. The one thing that can ruin our opportunity to go back to Godhead is offenses. That we have to be very careful about. Sometimes the mind is playing games with us and say, oh, I'm senior, therefore I can talk down to a junior. Senior, junior is based on a physical body. It's based on the physical body. I'm older, I'm younger. It's based on the physical body. Physical body has nothing to do with Bhakti Yoga instructions. Nothing. If you make anybody unhappy by how you approach the person and what you say, you have committed an offense. So that we have to be very careful about. Everyone that we talk to, we have to talk to respectfully. Hmm? We have to learn how to use mild words so we don't offend anyone. Make the point, but don't offend anyone. Hmm? Rather than many of us complain about, you're not doing this, you're not doing this, talk about what should be done. Hmm? I remember when I was in undergraduate and taking courses, including what's called education, how to teach, as being trained in how to teach. And the professors would actually, we were put, apart from the classes that we took, we were also put on in the field, an actual high school that we had to go teach here. And the professors from my university would come, one person, and sit in the back and watch us teaching, applying what we had learned in the university to teach these high school students in the subject that we were majoring in. Mine was chemistry. And then they would give the evaluation at the end of the class. They used to tell students what they used to tell us, those that are practicing how to be a teacher. They used to tell us what we were doing wrong. And then, now this was done 2 years in a row. 1 year you do the second year you go out, that training. And so the first year, in my first year of teaching, my first time, you were in the school for 4 weeks, and then you return to the university to continue your studies, the semester. So whatever I had to do was stated in terms of what I was doing wrong. Of course, we were learning, so we had to adjust. But the following year, what we're doing wrong was canceled. Now it was the suggestions for doing the right thing. It's the same thing, basically. Rather than you're doing this wrong, they were saying, this is what you should do right. This is the right thing to do. And usually that's what puts us at a situation where we don't offend. When you tell people the right thing to do, that is, even if you're instructing somebody who's physically, or at the time you came to consciousness, Krishna consciousness, they're junior to us. You talk about why you do things, why it should be done a certain way. And even when you're doing that, you drop your voice so that it doesn't come across as you're trying to bully that person. And sometimes some junior, those who are younger, said those who are senior, kind of bullying them because of how they're coming across, even if what they're saying is the correct thing to do. And all of that is never, ever liked by Srimati Radharani, the mother of devotion. Everything we're doing is being checked by the Lord in the heart. And so we have to be very careful. That's what can sabotage our effort to go home. Other than that, we can leave the body when the time comes without considering whatever that opportune moment is supposed to be. But Ashira Papa says those who are mixed devotees, hmm, mixed devotees, we say unalloyed devotees, unalloyed is pure, hmm, and mixed is we have some fruitive intentions, some things we do, or some people like to, speculate, use whatever to the philosophy to make some speculation on their own. So they're not pure devotees. Those people require a particular moment for them. And that Srila process, it is in Bhagavad Gita. Again, attaining the supreme, that which is the title for chapter 8. And then text 23 to 26. So 23 just talks about how in the different times the yogi, depending on the careful choice, passes away from this world so that he does not come back. And if not careful about the time, they can come back. Mm. So that's explained. Unalloyed devotees, people that do karma yoga, jnana yoga, even hatha yoga, they know some things about leaving the body at a particular time. Mm. So then they select that time. Now, um, it is possible for those mixed devotees to also leave to help their souls to go to a better place. Now, specifically in the Bhagavad Gita, in chapter 8, in text 23 to 26, one of the texts, especially 24, there is a particular time to leave. And the mystics who are ready or advanced yoga practice, they can arrange their time and arrange their posture. But those who don't know, sometimes they can leave in an auspicious moment, but by accident. And they will not return to the cycle of birth and death. But other than that, there's every possibility that they will return. So there is auspicious moment and inauspicious moments to leave the body. And it is for mystics who pass away um, during the smoke or the night or the fourth night of the waning moon, which is that means waning, as we know, waning means dying, right? We have full moon and then the moon is going down. Or the 6 months of the year when the sun passes to the south. Sun goes north, sometimes goes south, north one time, south another time. The person leaves when it's the sun is going to the southern part of the hemisphere. Then those people can reach the moon planet, but then they'll come back. And the moon planet is considered a heavenly planet. Those yogis, they can be in there for a good 10,000 years. This is by demigod calculations. For us, solar years, it amounts to 3,600,000 years. They can be on the moon, drink some ras. It's very intoxicating. And it's a materially enjoying kind of life. But they will return. They will return to the earth. Now, when a person leaves in as we said, the one that comes back is during the dark, right? So when the person leaves during light time and when the moon is waxing or when the sun is passing through the north, then that person may go and not return. Now, those people, they get a chance to leave the material world. But if they are already the type of people who are talking about merging into the Lord to become one, then the chances are high that they will be in the fountains, the Brahmajyoti, the Brahmajyoti of the Lord. Now, that all would not concern us because in our case, the Lord, through his devotees and the Lord himself in Bhagavad Gita, has described what it is that we need to do, the type of yoga that helps us to go out of the material world forever and not return. And that is Bhakti Yoga, devotional service to the Lord. So that involves having to serve the Lord and having to remember the Lord all of the time. And so in chapter 8, again, attaining the supreme, in text 14, Srila Prabhupada describes Ananyate cha satatam yo mam smarati nityasa tasya tasyaham shulabha pata nitya yuktasya yogina. So the one who remembers me without deviation, Krishna says, I'm easy to obtain, O Arjuna. Why? Because of his constant engagement in devotional service. So that is the clue. A pure devotee is one that engages in devotional service 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Their final destination is arranged by the Lord himself. So they don't have to look at the times, is the moon waxing or is the moon waning? Am I in the light or am I in the dark? Am I leaving at the time when the sun is traveling the north or traveling the south? It does not matter for a devotee who is into bhakti yoga. So that person can leave at any time, at any time. Remembering the Lord, serving the Lord has a huge advantage when it comes to leaving the body. So we should involve ourselves in, even as we have faults, we still should involve ourselves in serving, giving as much effort and determination into our service as possible. Maya, as Srila Prabhupada describes, does not want people who are not serious bothering Krishna. This is Maya's program. Not that it wants to see us fail. Maya does not want to see us fail. But if we say yes to Krishna, Maya says, are we really sure? If I put this and that and that and that in your way, or if I suggest some things, would you still serve Krishna despite what is happening? If we read the biographies or even a few things about the pure devotees in our line, you realize that they tried so many things to serve Krishna. And even while they were trying, and sometimes their efforts did not pay off. Srila Prabhupada tried to write, print, and distribute, well, write and give to the printers, and then to distribute back to Godhead magazine. Very few people were buying it in India. And in the height of the summer, this is how we understand it. Summer means heat. He was still in his old age trying to distribute it. He collapsed. He woke up and he was in a medical facility. He didn't even know how he got there, but he was trying to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When he was coming on the Jaladuta steam cargo ship, he had 2 heart attacks. So he's a pure devotee of the Lord. They look at it differently from those of us who are not pure yet. They serve the Lord no matter what happens. Ours, the temptations, the suggestions that come from Maya is to, or the suggestions are to help us to see where we are at in serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When a temptation comes and we are successful, not letting the temptations put us down, we grow that much more. We grow that much more. Because one, we are telling Krishna in many words that we're ready to serve him and serve him without expecting anything back from him. Second, the temptation that happened would be an experience that we can use to tell somebody else if they fall into a similar temptation and they happen to reveal to us, then we know what to do. There are times when people have confided in those who have been in Christian consciousness for a while. I'm struggling with this part. I'm struggling with this particular regulated principle and so on. And then the person that is senior or has been in for a while may know of that same struggle or may have gone through it him or herself and how they approached it. They would offer that information so that the person who needs that could grow from it. So the challenges are sometimes to help us later to elevate others by explaining to them what can be done, what solution. Critical consciousness is very practical. If you have theoretical knowledge, but you live like a commie, you're really not practicing devotional service. You may think you are, because some people think that when they have a lot of knowledge of Shastra, then it means they are a very high level devotee. It has to do with practice. Those in the spiritual world don't sit down learning Shastra. They live life based on Bhakti Yoga. They live life. Bhakti Yoga is practical. So what you learn when Krishna is speaking or when Krishna's devotees are speaking is for us to practice. Vigyan, very, very important. Gyan is there, but Gyan is a guide for us to apply what we learn. So we shouldn't learn, and then when situations come, we behave like a typical non-devotee or karmi. Then we haven't learned anything because we're not applying. So to go to, if we take this process very seriously, then we don't have to worry about promotion, the heavenly planets, or going to seek oneness in the Brahma Jyoti. Krishna will give us a spiritual body for us to go back. Now, giving a spiritual body, another way of saying is that our soul, which is very tiny now, atomic, and it's in the heart area, even less in size than an atom. It's stated in the Shastra as 1/10,000th, the tip of a hair. And the tip of the hair is very small, so 1/10,000th, you can't even see it. That is the size of the soul. And the super soul is about 8 inches. That is the Lord's own desire to be in that particular shape, in the heart area. And when we leave, and we've done things right in terms of serving the Lord devotionally and not offending devotees and chanting attentively, then we have the opportunity to go back home. The time doesn't matter. Wherever the sun is traveling does not matter. But we focus on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The more we serve him, the more we'll remember him. And if we remember him, Krishna says we'll go to his abode. So that is the trick that everybody should have at the back of their mind. Every time an service opportunity comes and you turn it down, you've turned yourself down. Your opportunity to go back to the spiritual world is going down. Spiritual life, as the other day, His Holiness Chandamali Swami was talking about, my Guru Maharaj talked about it years back in the lecture, Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, that is. Spiritual life does not stay at the same level. You're either going up, we are either going up or we're going down. And if we're going down, our intelligence will warn us. It's like the intelligence rings a bell in our mind, danger, 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 danger. If we ignore it, then we'll go down. Sometimes there are some people who say, well, I'm chanting, therefore there's no need to do any other service. I'm chanting. We don't chant purely. Conditioned souls don't chant purely. Therefore, Krishna has given us 9 methods of service. And chanting is just one of them. Chanting is required in this Kali Yuga. So a person that's chanting is doing the right thing, but they also have to do other service besides chanting. So a person that says, I'm chanting, therefore, why do I need to do other service? Doesn't understand Bhakti Yoga in Kali Yuga. They don't understand. You have to chant and you also have to do service. And the more service you do, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada's spiritual master, says we have to serve with such a determined posture, determined mind, serve so much and serve so beautifully and serve with such high quality that Krishna is going to want to see us. We shouldn't try to see Krishna. We should serve so well that Krishna wants to see us. So now if you compare to somebody who says, I'll chant and I don't do any service, why should Krishna bother with you? Yes, the chanting is there, but there's guidance, and the guidance says that you chant and you also do service. So the more service we do with high quality, and speaking about quality, when it comes to service, Maya, which represents, or Maya represents darkness, is right next to the light. Light is Krishna, Maya is darkness. And any time you take one step out of the light, you will be in darkness. Another way of saying is that Maya is watching to see where there are loopholes. And that's where the suggestions will come from the loopholes, the parts that were weak. So, in order to serve with high quality, when some suggestion comes from Maya, which we call temptation, oh, well, do it this way, cut short that, do this, do this, do this, it's all right. As soon as that happens, and it will happen, it's a question of do we take that suggestion and go through a shortcut? If we do that, then Maya has won. Yep, that means Krishna, Maya is telling us they were not serious about coming to you. That's why they're doing like that. We will be very, very happy the more we serve with enthusiasm, with high quality. Then when the time comes to leave, it does not matter what time it is. One is already thinking about Krishna. As Shukadeva Goswami says, the person should not be afraid at all and just simply leave the body thinking about Krishna, and Krishna will open the door to that person. It's interesting that sometimes when devotees leave the body, and there have been a number of devotees, mostly in this movement, Srila Prabhupada disciples who are older, and it's time for them to go and they're lying on their deathbed. I can give examples, I won't name names, but there's one statement that they've made. And these are people who have served very well. And they still say, I don't think I've done enough. I could have done more. They're thinking that way, that they could have done more. But those of us who lived with them in the same community, we notice how much dedication they put into service. And they're still making that statement on their deathbed that they would have liked to do even more. That is a person who has developed love for Krishna. Otherwise, they wouldn't be saying something like that. And so this is all things that we learn from. We have to be, while we are still in this body and the body is functioning at least halfway decently, depending on one's age, we should put all effort into serving so well. And serve, when you say serving, serving devotees. Doing things to please devotees. Doing things to please the spiritual master. Spiritual master will give instructions and you do it immediately. Every time we have an opportunity to serve, but we say, oh, I've got this other thing to do, which is a material thing, and we make that the priority, we failed. When it comes time to do things spiritual or material, we always should choose the spiritual first. And if we choose the spiritual and do that spiritual thing with the time that we have, and if it means that we are short on time to do the material thing, that even we consider important to or necessary. Krishna is time. Krishna himself is time. Therefore, and this happens every time. Krishna will arrange so that the material things that we said we wanted to do would be done, and it would be done in a way that we couldn't have figured out or we were thinking of doing. It will be done differently, but it will be done to our satisfaction. So Krishna doesn't sell us short from our material responsibilities when we serve him. We never fall short of the material responsibilities. And then there's so much protection that comes too, because we can't always be aware of everything that's around us. But Krishna will prompt in so many ways in our material lives, but because we've dedicated ourselves to him. And then on top of that, when it comes to leaving, the yogi that has, then there's more. Sometimes you have to look at how you use the back or the heel to plug the evacuation hole and then go up, raising the life air and different, up the body, past the navel, in the chest area, past the throat. So these are all specific descriptions. And the breathing that you have to do in order for the soul to come up. And those some well, there's even to the top of the head like that, the soul can come out from there. There is a hole. And those are all particular things for different types of yogis. But the bhakti yogi that is serving according to the instructions of the spiritual master, the bona fide spiritual master, and has served to the point where now they love to serve. First is by instruction, but then they love to serve. That person leaves the body with no problems, with no problems. Thinking of Krishna, yes, there is some death pains. That's there when the senses are shutting down, but that's for everybody, whatever type of yogi. That's based on the bodies because the senses are not going to be used in that body anymore. So when they're shutting down, but from what we understand, even the shutdown of the senses are also painful. Now, Krishna is arranged in such a way that the ear, the sense of hearing, is the last one to shut down. Therefore, if we relate well to devotees, then when devotees hear that we're leaving the body, they can come to where we are. And that also means that they have to stop what they're doing and come to where we are and chant the holy name, because when we chant the holy name, that is what helps us to remember Krishna. We're going through pain of the senses and the body shutting down. But the sense of hearing, even when we sleep, the hearing is still awake. The other is still functional. The other senses may be shut down, but the hearing is still functional. And so when the person is leaving, Krishna has also made this body such that the hearing is still functional. You hear the name of the Lord. Now, if we've been very, very, very rude and talking down to and so on to devotees, and then later on you hear, oh, this person is leaving the body. You really think that the person that you behave negatively towards will leave their things to come help you by chanting so you can remember Krishna to go back? Chances are very high they will not do that. They may even wish you well, but to physically come to where we are to chant so we can remember, because we won't be able to chant. Remember, the senses are shutting down. So if you think you're going to be able to speak, forget about it. You can only hear. But to help us to remember, we have to hear the holy name. So the devotees are who will help us to leave. As we've been told already, just involve ourselves in Bhakti Yoga, and the time to leave, nighttime, daytime, moon is waxing, moon is waning, the sun is going through the north, sun is going to the south, does not matter for a Bhakti Yogi. Other yoga systems, they may need it, but it all depends on how we treat devotees. Therefore, my Guru Maharaj made one statement which I will share here. The success or failure of our devotional life depends on how we relate to others. The success or failure of our devotee life, devotional life, it depends on how we relate to others. And we'll share one more. We have to understand that those who are with us now, around us, serving with us in devotional life, are the ones that are most likely going to be with us at the time we leave our bodies. They have the shortest distance to travel to where we are when we are on our deathbed. Not the person that's coming from from another country. Well, relatives may do that. But the devotees that will come around us are devotees that are near us that we've been serving with. Therefore, if we abuse our relationships, then we are cutting short the number of people that could take time off to come chant so we can hear and hear and remember the Lord so we can go back to Godhead. So it is very important how we relate to the Lord. For us, as we serve, as we chant, we relate well to the devotees also, and especially not offend them. And then the way of going back, that's been given by the Lord. It doesn't depend on any kind of sun, moon here, sun here, none of that. What the moon is doing and where the sun is traveling, none of that. Daytime, nighttime, none of that. So we are fortunate, but it all depends on how we use this fortune that we have by the way we serve. Srila Prabhupada was a great example of humility and great service and pushing himself for Krishna and for the devotees. He was also very appreciated, so much that sometimes he would even shed tears. There's so much that devotees are doing for him. And he was only serving his guru, who served his guru like that. The parampara, they always serve each other. Therefore, we should also be of service. And finally, Ramanujacharya, when he was leaving, when he was leaving his body, that is, he told his distraught disciples, crying and so on around his deathbed, first congratulating them for serving him so nicely. And then he said, the quality of service, he said to them, the quality of service you gave to me, you give that same quality to each other. Serve each other nicely. So the secret to success is how well we serve the devotees, not regarding age. Not regarding age. So with that, then we have the opportunity to use what's there, not caring about where the sun is, where the moon is, but being around devotees who are chanting for us when we leave the body, then we'll be successful. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So thank you for coming to hear. And now this is the time you can unmute yourself if you have questions or comments or realizations you'd like to talk about or share. This is the time to do it. Hare Krishna. So is there anyone who'd like to share or ask a question?
Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances, August Shri Prabhupada.
Jai, God Shri Prabhupada.
A very deep class, lots of food for thought. I had 3 points, but I have questions, but I can only remember the question now.
That's
In
okay.
the earlier part of the class, you touched upon kind of briefly, I think, on mercy, mercy coming through, mercy flowing. How can we know that we are being blessed by mercy? What are the symptoms of being blessed? What are the symptoms of knowing that we are being blessed by mercy?
When we are in devotional service, trying to do our best in serving, trying to do our best, even when we're genuinely trying to do our best, we'll find at some point that we're feeling that we're still coming up short. And that's when we realize that to be successful in devotional service requires the mercy of the Lord. And speaking about that, His Holiness Gogovinda Maharaj was advising devotees about the mercy. He used the word cry. We should cry to the Lord, cry for the mercy. Hmm? Why? We are in jail. This is a cosmic jail. Why do you think there's so many problems around? Hmm? Problems with people causing problems to others, to us, problems with other people, the living entities trying to live, but they give us problems, just trying to live, like germs. They're just trying to live, but they make us sick. Weather giving us so many problems. This is jail. This is a place that's uncomfortable. And you try to get some material enjoyment, but it doesn't last. In the meantime, the body is breaking down. So much anxiety. Hmm? So that's the world we're living in. All of that goes away when we go to the Vaikuntha planets, when we leave the material world. So the only way is do the best that we can, do the best, not part of it, do the best that we can. That's a requirement. Then ask for the mercy, because even if we come up short, if we take the mercy of the Lord, because the Lord is so kind, and a kind Lord we can appeal to for mercy. The mercy means that we didn't quite make it, because we short, but even though we put in the effort, please allow us to go back home anyway. It is the mercy of the Lord, and it comes through the mercy of Guru. And how do you get the mercy of Guru? Do we open to serving the Guru? And what did the Guru want us to do? Not only serve him, but also serve the devotees. When we do things that make devotees happy, the Guru will be automatically happy with us. And when the Guru is happy with us, Krishna is happy with us. Radhanath Swami said, the best thing that can happen is to make sure that you, a devotee, make another devotee feel fortunate and happy. And he said, the best thing is to have a whole temple full of happy devotees, each one making the other one happy. So we should assess our own selves. This is how we get the mercy. We should assess our own self. Am I making someone happy, or am I making someone upset? How am I relating to devotees who are my peers, devotees who may be junior to me by age or when they got initiated, or those who may be senior to me by age or when they got initiated? How am I relating to them? Now, let's bring one thing that tends to make devotees make a mistake. Maya gets us left and right with this particular one. So in our cultures, we tend to be respectful towards what? Older people. Hmm? Because they are the age of our parents and so on. So we tend to older people. And then younger people, we tend to put them down. But we got to remember this. Sometimes, the bodies fall into that particular trap. And it is a trap because we are relating in order to practice how to relate to Krishna and those in the spiritual world when we go back. We are learning, we're practicing now. So if we just are going to just be respectful to older people only, and the younger people, we put them down, then we cannot relate to Krishna well. We say, no, 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 Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but he looks like a 16-year-old in the spiritual world. Never forget that part. He may be the oldest, but he doesn't look old. If you put younger people down, you're literally going to meet a young Krishna. How are you going to relate then? So that's why it's important at all times to relate to everyone. I know a particular devotee that could have related to a spiritual master that was about the same age as him. He couldn't. And then he told me in confidence, because I'm not going to mention the name. Actually, he's not even in this count, but still I won't mention the name. I can relate to this other guru because he's an older person. And I kind of chuckled to myself. That's the reason you're relating to him because he's an older person. Therefore, a person who's younger in the spiritual master, you can't relate to him. But who is Krishna? Looking old? Never. Not the gopis, not Krishna, not Srimati Radharani. They all look young. So the practice is to be always aware if we want the real mercy of the Lord, to be always aware that at all times we have to relate well to all the devotees, regardless of their age and when they got initiated. A person that relates that way understands what to do, and avoids the things that could cause offenses. Hare Krishna. Thank you for asking the question. But that's how you get the mercy, by how you relate well. Any other questions? If not, then thank you all for coming on. We just, you have one more?
Yeah, actually, a realization of Jaipataka Swami. When you were sharing, how important it is for us to serve, right? And we see this a lot in Prabhupada disciples. When they are leaving their bodies, they just say, I wish I can do more. I didn't do enough. And they leave their bodies. And I was thinking of Jaipataka Swami, he is suffering so much. And every time his health goes down, he says, I have so much more to do for Prabhupada. I didn't do this. I didn't do this. I didn't do this. And we all know how much Jaipataka Swami has done for ISKCON. I mean, so much, but even doing so much, taking so many disciples and their karma and everything else, he still says till this very day, I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do this. And I'm thinking to myself, Hare Krishna, it's not easy to log, lack of a better word, the body that Maharaj has, but he's willing to go through that sacrifice of having that body that is nothing but, a burden, because he has so much more to do for Prabhupada. So I was really, really thinking, poof, do we have at least a drop of that same uh, intensity and sacrifice for Srila Prabhupada's movement? Like, are we willing to sacrifice that one drop of that, what Maharaj is going through, logging that body with so much suffering only for the sake of Srila Prabhupada, not for himself? So it's really having that deep appreciation and realization, how can we really give ourselves as a sacrifice to Srila Prabhupada's service. Hare Krishna.
Very important. Very, 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 very important. They're all examples as to what we should be doing. What we should be doing, putting more effort into serving, especially the quality of service. Ananya Mataji, I saw you raise your hand. Please step on humble obeisances. Glory to Srila Prabhupada. Please
Hare
come on.
Krishna, Prabhuji. Yeah, please
Hare
accept my
Krishna.
humble obeisances. All glories to
Prabhupada.
Srila
Srila
Prabhupada.
Prabhupada.
Very wonderful class, Prabhuji.
Krishna's mercy.
I just had one question regarding, you spoke about the mystic who leaves his body, the material body, based on the auspicious timings, right? And then going during the Uttarayana or Dakshina, when the sun travels to north, south, north especially, So,
favorable for north,
Yeah, and you also mentioned about the planetary systems, the Sukshma Sharira or the soul travels, the various different planetary systems. So can you please elaborate on the different planetary systems you spoke about? I was just a little bit inquisitive to know about the different planetary systems, the soul travels.
The soul can travel different planetary systems. As a matter of fact, there's so much detail that's given in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 2, which is the chapter we're on now. But it is further up. We are in, today is 15. It's like 20, text 24, 25, thereabouts. There are planetary systems that, depending on where the mystic wants to go. Some might want to go to Brahmaloka, and there's ways to, as they do the meditations and, plug the evacuation hole and lift the soul up in the different chakras. They may travel through even the Milky Way, and people know about the Milky Way. The Milky Way happens to be the path by which one can get to Brahmaloka. Hmm? Srila Prabhupada has described that. Even you can also get to Mahaloka. Mahaloka is a little lower. So these are planets, they are heavenly planets where life there is on a subtle level, and all the 8 mystic yogis are 8 mystic cities, making oneself light to make oneself, light as a feather, making oneself atomic, and being able to get things from different planets by sitting in one place. All of those mystic cities can be, it's there. We don't have to learn because it's born with it. So that's there. But for a devotee, they don't want to spend time, not even in Dhruvaloka, the pole star, which is spiritual. No, the Shirdakshaya Vishnu is there, but Srila Prabhupada is directed us especially not only to the spiritual world, but to Golok Vrindavan, where the relationship with Krishna is in its greatest type of variety. So we are being directed towards death, which is very, very, very glorious in terms of where the soul can go. Now, those who go through these yogic systems and they want to merge with the effulgence of the Lord, they, as we talked about earlier, the soul is very, very small. They will retain the same size. They retain the same size in the Brahmajyoti, the effulgence of the Lord. They are still very, very, very small, very atomic. But when a person is served in Bhakti Yoga, like the way Srila Prabhupada is training us to do, and when we get the opportunity to go or to leave this particular earth, then the soul will expand, or Srila Prabhupada puts you get a new body, but actually it's the soul expanding to its fullness and to its Siddha Swarup, the original form in the spiritual world. And then we're going also to the farthermost planet, which is the biggest planet, Goloka Vrindavan, where the relationship is not just in awe and reverence, like it is in other Vaikuntha planets, but in the relationship as a friend, sometimes even parental, and conjugal relationship is there. So all of those, where you won't get in any other planet, you get that type of relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So yeah, there's details we could talk about it for a lot of them. But if you go to this particular chapter that we're on, Canto 2, Chapter 2, but further up from 23, 24, 25, this is the text. You'll get more information there. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you.
You're welcome. Hare Krishna. Glory to Prabhupada. Any other questions? Okay, I don't see anybody raised hands or unmuted. So thank you very much for coming for this class and allowing me to serve. And let's serve with great enthusiasm and be very respectful of each other, because when the time comes for us to leave, and everybody will leave, time comes for us to leave, those among us, those close to us, are the ones that are going to come help us help us to remember the holy name of the Lord. Vanchakalpatarubhasya kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you very much and have a nice rest of your week in a Krishna conscious way. Hare Krishna. Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Glory to Shri Prabhupada.